Okay, James Luby here, and I'm making a video by request of my 2010 Corsair Dash 750 that is for sale. Um, Still not sure I should be selling it. There's a lack of these boats in the country, and shipping containers have gone up to like $40,000 to bring them into the country. Bit of history on, oh, you see the badminton net tied to the beam there. It's for my daughter. Bit of just some insider knowledge, I guess, revealed to me by a Corsair dealer. The Corsair the Dash Mark IIs did away with the interior, the liner, and went to a fiberglass liner, added 200 pounds to the boat, and that's significant. And I guess the 760s, someone had problems towing the boat, and they put them on the scale, and they were coming in at like 2,800 pounds, so almost an extra 1,000 pounds. Blew the guy's transmission. So I don't know. In my opinion, this is like the perfect point for performance. Also, single-handedly being to move the boat around if you're in the shallows, things like that. It doesn't have that extra weight. And I had a F-24 Mark I. It's just underpowered. Couldn't get out of its own way in light air. And I had two F-25Cs. And that video is up there. If you look for Luby F-25C refit video, you'll see what I did in the refurbishment and actually building new floats for that. So I'll take you through the boat. So you see I do trailer it with the bowsprit out, but I will walk around. I'll show you the mechanism. My dog's barking at me. So to move the bowsprit in, there's a little pin there, of course. You just remove it, slides right in. You do have to go in the anchor locker there and open the hatch. There's a little port there so it can slide into the compartment. That's done easily enough. This is for the mast raising. The Dyneema slides right through there. And I will make a note on this. On the mast raising, they have it down on more so than any of the other models on this model. It just goes up, and I'll show you the mechanism. You can see the base of the mast there, and that's the mast raising. You see the little dongles there, see if I can get there. And I'll show you up top when I go onto the boat where those fit in. Of course, there are two eyes, one for the screecher, one for the code 0 or spin, whatever you're doing. They have mast mounted clutches, which I prefer, quicker on the water, off the water. You don't have to, run the lines through the turning blocks and then back through. I always have problems sending them through the clutches. I did add, you'll see, the jib halyard, which I use for mast raising, tied off to a horn cleat there. That's a folding horn cleat. And I did go with a larger jib. I'll talk about that in a minute. But it doesn't really overlap and it doesn't get hung up on anything. Of course, you see the mast rotation bar there connected to the topping lift. So there we go. All LED lights. They're the bow lights, looking back. You can probably see the steaming light on top of the mast there. It does have masthead VHF too. See the new dagger board. I'll talk about that in just a minute. More on the mast raising, I did add a braking winch. I've never liked non-braking winches to, raise and lower the mast. So this, you're actually cranking it down. You can stop, walk away from it, with the mast at 45 degrees, and it is wonderful. Braking winches, so it's not like you don't have that whipping torsion that is taking place. I did set up a ladder here, so I'll show you real quick. Sorry about not taking down the badminton net for my daughter. So there you go. Kind of I wouldn't say a bird's eye view, but there's the view from up top. Still all the water on it. And we are in a forest here, so things, leaves, pine needles, everything do fall on it. So there we go. The nets are in great shape. I don't know when they were replaced. They're obviously not original. There's just no wear, no UV damage, nothing. There's just nothing bad about them whatsoever. So let's see. Moving aft, one of the things you'll notice, it's kind of hard to see, and I apologize for the sun. Might be up to walk around the other way. Is how much beefier the beams are on this Dash in contrast to the F24, either Mark 1 or Mark 2. And again, I had the Mark 1. The floats have just so much more buoyancy. And I've only sailed the boat, 3 times, but I'll tell you, even I was out in 15 to 20, and maybe the water line was here. And I mean, I was trying to see how much I could, suppress, immerse this bow, and it just would not go over in 15 to 20. Completely full sails, brand new sails. I'll show you those in just a minute. One of the things I'm really impressed with over the years, of course, I've seen not only and I had a Pulse too, a Corsair Pulse, but I've seen 28s, 27s, 31s. How clean Corsair has gotten in all of their builds. They've just refined the process over and over. So even the inside of the Amas, they're just finished immaculately. And I didn't find this on my F24 one or Pulse to that extent. The Pulse is better, of course. Floats are completely dry. You'll see, there's no mold, mildew, nothing. And they just remain dry. When I purchased the boat, they had 4-inch fenders. I couldn't believe it. Quickly replaced those, so brand new 4 fenders that are actually large enough to prevent damage. You are seeing the swim ladder there. A lot of people will trailer it. They'll just flip it around. I'll show you when I get to the stern of the boat there, and trailer it that way. I throw it in, one of the Amas, the hatches, and that's that. The rigging, the Dyneema is in great shape, and I did add. You'll kind of see this here too. I had a safety mechanism. You don't have to retension the side stays to fold the floats out or in. They move the chain plates inboard on the Amas. That was actually Randy Smythe and Nelson Wright did that on the first F25C I had, and they found that worked well. So Corsair has adopted that, of course, and it's great. But I do have security strap. So should you be working on tensioning, retensioning, nothing can happen. One of the things kind of unique to the Dash here, at least from the factory, is for the Screecher. Of course, they added a little track and a block, and that does allow you to much better shape on the sail with the attachment point there. But it also allows you to go a few degrees higher with the Screecher. For the most part, I run a 3-sail boat when I'm just cruising. Even racing, distance races, I run the code 0. I find the code 0 will catch air in, say, 0 to 2 to 3 knots of air, and is actually better than the Screecher. I will attach and put a block here, and most people, for both the Screecher, spin, and everything, they'll just throw a Dyneema around there with a turning block. And the code 0, though, again, I'm able to use it better than the Screecher and say 0 to 3 knots. 3 to 7, the Screecher outperforms it because, of course, it points higher. You can tension it better. And then around 7, you're better off just going with main and jib upwind. And on that note, because again, I'm 3-sail, sailor with the code 0 predominantly, I did add, there's a carbon barber hauler attachment point there. So a block attaches there and allows me to pull the sheet barber haul, the code 0 out, which is much better than, of course, running off the rear beam. Much better angle, better sail shape, but also more lift in the sail that I've found. So just a better approach. So I did do that as well. Anything else from the side before I go on the boat? New motor. When I bought the boat, it had a 14 horsepower motor on it. I chuckle at that. So I got rid of that, and there is the new, the Sail Pro, the long shaft Tohatsu. And for vanity, the extra $200, I went with white. So silly me. Of course, you see it's a daggerboard rudder. It's an aluminum rudder. I did not replace that. There's really no need to. I replaced the center board, and I'll show you. I'll take a video too of the original aluminum center, but God forbid, you know, you hit something and bend that thing. Then you have a salvage operation, and you're trying to get back on the trailer. You can't get the center board out. You know, it's just, that could be a nightmare, and an expensive nightmare at that. So of course you see where the swim ladder goes. And again, it will either flip up, or if it's deployed, of course, down. And just the other side of the boat, not much to see. I guess before I move the ladder and climb on board, I will show you a couple things here too. It comes with 3 tillers. I always have the short one attached there for when I'm launching, etc. And that one will extend out to about 44 inches, I think. I also have the rod stand hot stick that goes to 8 feet. But you know, performance and of course utility. You'll see my bow pole there. I actually carboned on the rod stand connector, and you will see 2 attachments there for the tiller on top. You know, the tiller on top of the extended tiller there. And that bow pole extends out to 12 feet. So you can actually sail from the front beam, of course, which balances the boat better, especially light air, you know, if you need to be out there moving upwind. Of course, on the tiller, you see the connection for the tiller pilot. And of course, it sits right there. And my tiller is always at hand. Again, I'm a solo sailor, so it is just bungeed right in there. When I sail, I just turn on the power. Should I ever need it, I could deploy it in seconds. So I do that. Inside that locker, might as well talk about that now, is an anchor. An anchor is for me, again, ex-Navy SAR corpsman, so always worried about safety. An anchor is safety equipment. And again, I sail solo. The boat is set up for sailing solo. And God, you know, if you're in an emergency situation, you need to deploy an anchor. You don't want to be leaving the helm, running forward to the bow, you know, the anchor locker. You're just setting yourself up for problems. And I've seen a lot of problems in my history, my professional experience in that regard. The motor, by the way, does have the alternator. You'll see it wired in there, so it does charge the battery as well. Again, all LED lighting, so you're seeing the stern light there. Everything is real clean. And I'll move the ladder around and climb on the boat. Okay, I'm back, move the ladder, climbing on board here. Lines are essentially new, everything that's important. So the boat, you know, came from the multi-hull source. A few things needed to be replaced, lines being one of them. So if you look at my main sheet there, that is New England Salsa. It's a single braid, so it doesn't kink. Very important on these boats to be able to release sails and have nothing go wrong. D-power. Corsair sends these from the factory standard with a 6-to-1. I like an 8-to-1. So I upgraded the main blocks here. So you're seeing an 8-to-1 Harken system. The Traveler is fine. Just as it is. It really requires almost no strength to move it around. You will see here, okay, that block is what I use for the barber hauler for the Code 0. So again, there's a block out there, and then coming in, I just use a little, you know, Teflon loop there that just hangs out on the line. And should I want to pull it out, just pull it right out and clean it. It's simple. Much better sheeting angle for downwind, and I'll leave it at that, I guess. Moving up, let's see, hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. The jib sheets, that is New England Flight Line, is Dyneema Core, and I do run a 2-to-1 jib. So if you look forward, you see where the line is terminated there on the jib, the block there, the pulley. And that will go, I'll run that up through there. I have blocks at the clew of the jib, and then, so it runs up to the jib, and then back through the block, and then of course back to the winches, and then the cam cleat. And what I find is 2 to 1, the sail is small enough, I manage it pretty much without a winch. I do put markers, two lines around in one place for when I wrap it twice around the winch, and then I have another one for 3. So it kind of covers my wind strengths, up till around 10 knots or so. I'm just putting 2 wraps. So I pretty much, on attack, release the jib, pull it on the other side to where those lines are, and cleat it. Pretty much never have to touch it again. You can, of course, I have a little winch handle there, so of course you can manage that. The mast 36.7, I forget what it is. Aluminum. And again, goes right up and down. So maybe I'll show you that next, is the mast raising. Again, because Corsair finally, there is just no play in this thing. So you see the pin, I showed you the mast base, and this thing, there's just no play in it. And also, the mast plate fits in there snugly. Now, of course, we do have the side stays, the raising wires, but it's just ideal. It's better than the Pulse. I thought the Pulse was easy. This thing is even easier. And for sailing, you just take that little screw out and the whole piece comes right out. If I was trailering long distance, I would not trailer with this on. God forbid you lose it, right? So you see the turning blocks there for, of course, all the halyards. They can be led back to the winches. But again, I added and the main, well, I'm kind of getting off topic here, but I have completely new sails. The main goes right up all the way to the top just by hand. It's very easy. And then, again, I added the horn cleat to the mast so that, of course, much better for mast raising. I've never liked just a couple, turns and clove hitches around the base of the mast to keep in the clutch, just as a fail-safe. But with the horn cleat, of course, it's not going anywhere. And it is on the same side as the main halyard. So I use that horn cleat for the main halyard because, of course, lines will slip through the clutches. And I failed to mention on the stern of the boat there, I'll see if I can turn slowly and not, I don't know if you can see it right kind of through the crack there or the other side. I did add 2 folding horn cleats. I'm a big advocate of folding, to the stern because, again, you need horn cleats. I don't know why Corsair did not add them. That's kind of cutting corners, saving pennies on an $80,000, $90,000 boat. Doesn't make sense. I don't know what these things actually went for new. Again, the steaming light, again, that too is all, and steaming and deck light, it's multiple, and that is LED. There's my anchor locker, of course. There's a Fortress anchor in there, kind of an oversized one too. I believe in safety. Navy taught me well. Over here, you're seeing masthead VHF, and again, the top of the mast is 40 feet off the water, so you have a good transmission and reception distance. And of course, you see the connection for the lights, for the masthead lights. Again, you're seeing the new dagger board. I replaced the aluminum one with the composite. Much lighter, incredibly lighter. I don't know how many pounds that removed from the boat, but that was significant too. And a much better shape. I could tell, last year I sailed with the aluminum, I'm gonna call it a Hershey bar, and boy, you could tell the difference. Tacking everything. This thing pivots on a dime. Sails main, under main only real well, and probably, that board probably assists in that too. Let's see. Oh, sorry if I'm getting anyone dizzy here. And I'll head back down. Oh, one of the interesting things, improvements over the F-24s, is you see that space between the winch and the cabin. It's relatively flat. It's a great step. On the 24 Mark 1s, it has a much greater incline. It's not a great step. But also, I will sit there while sailing, and I was going to do this on my F-25Cs. I was actually going to build a cushion that wrapped around there, Velcroed on. So you can see, of course, very well the entire boat, especially the that downwind pontoon. One of the things I did not point out, of course, are the mast raising triangles there. And of course, the side stay wires connect to, you can see a little eye on the mast there. See if I can get my finger in the picture there. Right there. So that's that. I think I've covered everything. I probably have not, but okay, I'm going to turn this off or start the next video to show the interior. Okay, I'm back. Next component here. One of the things I didn't show is you see those two little bungees with the hooks there. Those are my tiller tamers, and actually I sail with those almost all the time. And they wrap around if you wrap them around the tiller once and then connect to the other side, the friction will hold it. It's great. And then of course, if you want to turn, if you give it a hard pull, it will slide around the tiller, but then relax and hold there too. Great for heaving to. And this boat, of course, you can heave to in a second. Pull it over, keep the jib attached, release the main, and you're done. And the boat, I've parked the boat in 20 knots, 25 knots, and it's just tame. So that's that. I'll try to turn around and not get anyone too dizzy. So the interior, you're seeing some cushions on the side there. I purchased those. I typically sew Velcro on the straps and the hook side, and then on the benches I will put the fuzzy side Velcro, so I have my seat pads that actually adhere, and of course they double as life preservers, things like that, or if you're just hanging out in the water. So that's great. The interior is a mess of sails. And I'll see if I can climb down here real quick. Sorry about getting anyone dizzy here. So real quick, it does have solar. Of course, you see the Lowrance and VHF, which again is masthead. You're seeing the electrical panel. I'll flip it on. It's a relatively new battery. I don't know the year, but I took a look at it. And even in the beginning of the year, it's showing at like 13 volts after our long, well upstate winters here. So that's great. I didn't want to, so the battery's back in here. You take the screws out, you can get right to it. And again, it's connected to the motor. There is an alternator there. But I didn't want to keep going in there and out of there for my solar. So I have just kind of, pigtails for connecting the solar. They just plug right in real easy. And since I was back there, I also added, a little dongle there. Don't have the correct term for it. If you want to trickle charge, if you want to, connect it in the beginning of the year or something, if you need to do that. So again, there is a solar charge controller there that I added. A lot of storage space. There are bags back there. There is no, I might as well show that too. You can kind of see the front end of the table there with the cutout. And the cutout slides, of course, right into that track there. I'll turn the battery off now. Over here, the masthead VHF with the integrated masthead vane. You can kind of see the aluminum dagger board there, which is a long foil. It is nice. Fingertip control, real nice. Let's see. So all of the sails are brand new. And actually 3 of them have a single sail on them. They're all carbon. So you're seeing just they're beautiful, by the way. The foil shape, the shape of the sail is incredible. Robichard battens, real nice and light. Not much to say there. The jib is actually, I leave it on the foresail as a structural furler. All of the head sail furlers are continuous line. So of course the jib is a structural furler. And again, real nice. The jib, I failed to mention up top, this new jib actually has a 4.5 inch longer foot, just for better light air performance. And I did increase the length of the jib tracks. So I added, new. You could go even much larger. You might even be able to go 12 inches larger, but anything more than 4.5, 5, you're really getting into an overlapping jib. But again, the horn cleat I added to the bottom of the mast, it folds, so it's not really going to impede or, interfere with the jib crossing across. But that extra 4 inches, you can feel it. It's a fast boat. And I'll tell you, there are times it feels almost as fast, about as fast as my F-25Cs. So interesting. So main is here. Jib is here. Again, continuous line furler. There's my screecher, which is a very light material. It's great. And it does have its on, what you're seeing here is somewhere in here is the continuous line furler. It has its own furler, continuous line furler. And it of course is a carbon, laced with carbon. And then my code 0 is substantial. And again, it is a carbon. This is a code 0 laminate in carbon. And this is the continuous line furler for the code 0. That's a Harken reflex. Again, top of the line, great. The sheet for both the screecher, I just use one. It's a quick attach or detach. And this is a Flightline knockoff. It is not New England Flightline. It is essentially the same thing. Dyneema core, so no stretch, no give. Floats. The sucker is light. Doesn't absorb water. Kind of important. So that is that. All of the lights inside, by the way, are LED, and they do have both white and red. It does have the pop top hatch. Just slides right up. I don't know if you can see it or not. Compass, visible both inside and outside. Very sundries. I'll pass these on, of course, the toolbox, toolkit. Sorry if I'm getting anyone dizzy. The porta potty is underneath there, and it is on a hatch, or has little cupboard there. Great storage. Of course, there's storage up under the V-berth. If you pull the cushion, tons of room up there. You get all the code 0 screecher, everything up in there. And again, it's a dry boat. You could put sleeping bags up there if you wanted to, whatever you want to keep on the boat. Underneath there is my extra life jackets for crew, things like that. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's pretty dark back there. Maybe. So underneath the cockpit, great for a cooler. And again, the cooler, I slide it out. It's actually a stair. I use it as a stair down into the cabin as well. And again, they just did a good job. Everything is painted on the inside. It's just clean. Unlike some previous, my original F-24 Mark 1. So that's that. I'll climb out again. And one thing I didn't show, of course, when I was out here. So you're going to see the longer jib track, and that's significant. The other one was, maybe 18 inches long. This one is well over 2 feet. So again, you could do a lot if you wanted to really increase the power in this boat and go with a longer jib, a longer foot. You could easily do that. So I hope this helped. Didn't have my daughter out here playing badminton as I was making the video. And I'll show you that. Let me show one more thing. I'll show you that dagger board and the trailer too. So be right back. Okay, I'm back. I forgot to mention one thing. Regardless of whatever Corsair you get, I highly recommend this aft roller for the mast. Again, what have I had? F-24 Mark 1, 2 F-25Cs, and the Pulse. And then I've also seen, of course, the 28s, everything else. And I've never liked a lot of the rollers that you see on the, for the mast aft support. They don't hold the mast captive. And that's partially, it also has to be the right shape, of course, the mast, the teardrop, the foiling shape. To where when you release it, it rolls to the side. It's always scared me about falling off. This just holds it captive. It is amazing. As you walk it aft, it just holds it there. Doesn't go anywhere. I feel very comfortable putting it down halfway back, leaving it. So regardless of what you do, I highly recommend that. Of course, at the top of the mast, you're seeing the VHF. So the trailer's in great shape. You know, not much to say about it. Tires are essentially new, great tread on them. I do keep the bearings greased very well. It does come with a full-size spare. I purchased this myself, by the way. It did not come with the boat, but you need a spare tire. And it's mounted there, of course. So let's see. I will give you another shot here as I can. Walk around. And let's see if I can find or walk to the daggerboard. That'll be yet another clip of this video. Okay, last little clip here. Here is the original aluminum daggerboard. Thing weighs a ton. And as you see, Hershey bar. The new composite is actually a modern design foil shape. But again, the safety factor. God forbid you bend this thing while it's under the boat, and especially if you're in a small lake or something where marine salvage is not readily available, you're going to pay a ton. And your boat's going to be stuck in the water. God forbid you have to get home, your boat is stuck. So that's that.